Welcome to our first lesson in Eco Community and Natural Building Seminar. In today's session, I will be sharing with you our 250-acre property design, the Permaculture Masterplan, which Paul Richardson and myself did back in September 2018. But in the meanwhile, let me quickly share with you the 9 pillars of successful community design so you can start thinking, asking questions, and possibly even adding some of the important information that you have researched to these pillars. We might even add an extra pillar or two. Natural law is the first most important pillar. It is crucial. So we do not create a civilization that yet again fails. Beauty and harmony has to weaved into the very design and fabric of our communities. Third pillar, remembrance through cultural tradition, truthful history, as well as our ancestral knowledge. Fourth pillar, awakening our creator within and breaking the rigidity through celebration and play. Fifth pillar, resilience through biodiversity as well as permaculture ecosystemic design. Sixth pillar, unity via common vision as well as magnificence of each member's individual passions, values and strengths. Seventh pillar, the human aspect and the social dynamics, as well as the importance of immediate conflict resolution. Eighth pillar, evolving spirituality versus dictated dogmatic beliefs. And of course, the ninth pillar is economy and cooperation, to bring in that much needed financial stability. So shortly I will present to you our 250-acre property design for our first community. But before I do that, I would love to share my personal story of what really brought me to sustainability and realization of the importance of community design. So 10 years ago, after reading the Anastasia books by Vladimir Maguire, I was so inspired to leave the city. So together with my partner and my son, we have left for the harmonious life in nature. Once moving 1,000 miles south from this city, from where I'm standing right now, we were welcomed by my first mentor, Earl Lawrence. We used to stay at Backpackers for about a year and a half, where we started a Waldorf little kindergarten, so my son would not be contaminated by all the educational insanity that's going on out there. So I've started, of course, collecting the grey water because it's the right thing to do, but it caused such a stench that eventually I had to build some form of a wetland where I could circulate the water, and voila, within 3 days the smell stopped, and within short 3 months the place exploded. You see, the plants don't see soaps, they see nitrogen as well as other minerals which nourish and make them thrive. Shortly after, we bought our beautiful piece of heaven, a 6-hectare piece of land adjacent to Neisner rainforest. There I got to build my first eco dome, experimented with living machines, built a dam, and created a 1/2 hectare Mandala Garden, which of course failed because it was on a slope. So the bottom beds caught the water and the top radial beds diverted the water and they dried up. So lots of expensive mistakes and experience was gained whilst being on the land. All was going well besides the fact that I was drowning in debt. You see, my event decor business, which was the main sole provider of all the money and food, started to really get sick because I was away from it. So it was just left to run wild in the city. And then the most unfortunate thing happened. Whilst building my first sandbag dome, my family got violently attacked in our mobile home, just 300 feet away from where I was building. Getting a shock of my life, coupled with total bankruptcy, we ran back to this property to start rescuing 3D Decor, our only feeding hand. After 4 years of struggling, I could not get the business back on track. It was far too gone, and in desperation I had to sell it in 2016 to folk that completely screwed me over and haven't paid me for my 16-year-old baby with all the spandex and everything I've given to them. The realization came back to me back in 2013 that a family cannot grow, package, market and sell all of their produce. It's just too much for one family to maintain, especially if you're out in the sticks on a huge piece of land. Farming was never my level of expertise nor my passion, but I knew the importance of growing food, so I always loved getting my hands dirty. It's a good connection to our mother, to the soil. But what I was really after back then and still 10 years later are the training centers that are going to birth our communities. But again, running a training center as a family, as I have experienced on this half an acre plot, it's just too much for such a grand vision, especially if you're self-financing the whole thing. So being back in the city whilst getting my business to tick over, I managed to travel to various workshops. It all started back in 2007 when I went to a ferrocement workshop and built this beautiful ferrocement roof. And then it was living machines from John Todd, it was permaculture, as I mentioned, from Jeff Lawton, biochar filtration in Thailand, Earthship training in Taos, New Mexico, biogeometry with Ibrahim Karim. I've also learned food forest gardening from Martin Crawford, and the list goes on and on. I knew what was important. It was the knowledge of self-sustainability as well as protection from electromagnetic radiation. Coming back to this city garden, I've managed to prototype and build all the learned wisdom and made countless mistakes. I mean, over $30,000 worth of mistakes up until this point. But the knowledge acquired as I was turning this entire property fully off the grid was truly priceless. But it just cost so much money trying to retrofit the square box with all the hidden plumbing in concrete, wrong elevations, and just lack of intelligent design by previous architects. Then one fine morning back in 2013, I heard a bloop bloop. I ran downstairs in shock to see the sewage rising from my bath and toilet. You see, living by the river, when the logs come down and flood, they hit the sewage pipe, and being the lowest house, all the water from our entire neighborhood starts rising up our bath and toilet. So I ran outside and I gladly found, thanks God, this 110mm pipe. I smashed it with a hammer, and toilet and poo with more toilet paper and poo floated through our garden for 2 weeks. After some rude messages on Department of Water's Facebook page, they eventually came to rescue our catastrophe. But I knew it was going to happen again. So wetland after wetland after wetland, I started getting most of my outlets off the main line, so I could eventually pour the concrete and disconnect from the main sewer. However, self-financing all these projects cost me a lot of money, and I just wasn't able to get the final 2 outlets, so I couldn't disconnect. And just actually 6 weeks ago, the most insane disaster happened that will shock anybody out of the wood. Flood happened again on the river. The trees smashed the pipe, blocked it, and the sewage from our neighborhood rose to 3 feet deep. It's just wow. So now I'm busy actually right now finishing the last 2 outlets, and the lowest outlets right at the bottom below the even floor level, I have to get it up with a macerator pump to send it to my biogas digester. But this is not the first time that these 2 rooms got annihilated by water. Back in 2015, our river rose by 8 meters high in a space of an hour and flooded our entire garden and the same 2 rooms. Thankfully, because of my knowledge of super adobe, which I learned at Cal Earth Institute of Land Art and Architecture in Hesperia, California, I've managed to build a 54-meter wall. So after seeing all these brick walls with their concrete pillars literally rolling down the river, I realized that we'd have to do something that mimics nature's genius. So I weaved in the snake form 180 feet and weaved in Vesica Pisces pockets into the wall to stop it from toppling over. So now what happens when the river flood, it actually playfully interacts with my wall. On every wave swig of my wall, it creates vortices, so it doesn't have the direct pressure, and the wall held out now for 3 years, even in the biggest of floods. So the journey continues, and with my passion of geometry and curvilinear architecture, together with 18 students from all over the world, we build this aircrete and super adobe home. I've managed to run multiple workshops throughout the years on the same form of construction, as well as ferrocement and all the water ecosystems which I have built around this property. As much as I love my dome, and to my surprise, the super adobe dome actually stops the Wi-Fi signal, I still feel so alone staying in the city. And I really look forward to the day which I can permanently move to a community on the land, which is actually happening. We found the land and we've got the bunch of folk with the right mindset starting it up. Conscious entrepreneurs as well as master craftsmen. That's the way to start your community. Being electromagnetic sensitive, I've even managed to stop a 5G tower going up just outside my gate. I got 4 signatures of the 4 houses right next to the tower, and boom, stopped it dead in its tracks. I've also posted a YouTube video on that. So it's totally possible. You just have to be aware and you have to speak up your truth. But the city insanity is not stopping. They've managed to put a 5G router just a further 100 meters away, and with all the pollution, crime, dirty river, it's just too much, and it's locking down on us. And you'll hear in the next video exactly why this is all happening, because of our lack of understanding and implementation of natural law into our lives. So hearing a strong call from my ancestors and our mother homeland, I've traveled back to Russia 5 times in search of the land. And in September 2018, we met the right team with the land at hand. A team that has traveled to hundreds of communities and saw all the broken stories and wanted to create something resilient, financially stable, and in harmony with our planet, each other, and all sentient beings. So our vision is to create a wave of economically thriving, harmonious communities, all based on natural law throughout Russia, and my vision is to take it out to our globe. So why am I doing all of this? Why sustainability? Why the community? As you can see by the affairs that are happening in our current world, we are rolling down. And with only 100 years left, as I have estimated, and many others, on our existence on our planet as we know it, we have no choice but to do a drastic change. And this drastic change I see as intentional eco-communities, kin domains, which are going to create a model of reality that makes the old model obsolete. I'm doing all of this for our mother, for our children, for our future generations, so they have fresh air, clean water, the forest to hike, and all the magic to experience. So we have to leave the planet with all its ecosystems in place, the animals, the biodiversity, the forest, the water, the air. It's got to be pristine so our children can enjoy the magic of our planet, so they can manifest and co-create together in harmony without the contamination of scientific progress. Sure, some of you may say the earth is fine, it will just wipe us off, take 1,000,000 years and completely regenerate and regrow all the forests. Whilst it may be true, but what a bummer. We will all have to start from amoeba again. We have come so far. We have all the resources, the wisdom, the people, the knowledge, everything to thrive and live in harmony on our planet and turn around the current path of self-destruction. Communities, as I see it, are the only way forward, creating a regenerative and truly self-sustainable model of living, where we can come together and cooperate and collaborate to create an awesome new reality that we are all dreaming about. A reality in harmony with our living environment and all sentient beings. There has just got to be another way to our current city and town model of insanity, as well as lone wolf. Something in between. And I cannot do it alone. Neither can you. The time of the lone wolf is over. We have to co-create together to build this new reality we're all dreaming of. So without any further waiting, I'm going to be diving into this 250-acre permaculture master plan for our first land in Russia. This community master plan, or many aspects of, can inspire almost any land and any community around the globe. I'll start by explaining to you what the community is for, because unity of vision is crucial. So this community will teach other communities how to start. So we have a farming angle, we have a eco architecture area, we have a resi zone, we have a conference space, food forest gardens, recreational area, master craftsmen, and of course we have all our wetlands. So I'm gonna speak about each of the zones in detail. So here we have permaculture and food production. So you're seeing all the terraces, all the, obviously all on contour line, the roads on contour line, a little aquaculture with island space, training center for farming with different tunnels, lots of ponds, of course, for water. Again, various planting techniques and experimentations on contour, vegetable beds, dehydration zone where we could dehydrate some of our produce such as sun-dried tomatoes and whatever else we're growing. So that will be more the farming zone. Here we have an eco-architecture space with the training center. So that's actually the seed of the community. So you first build that. Basically it's like a solar living institute area would be here, but our own. So all these pieces of lawn here will be covered with little domes that we build with students. So we'll build, and when we have workshops, and we'll have then accommodation for students as well as other ecotourism avenues. Then we have two schools. One is Tekos type of school, but our own. But we have Mikhail Shutinian helping us. He's actually coming to plant trees with us next week. So yeah, that's awesome. So it's basically more of a conventional school, but obviously teaching in a very unconventional way, but with a lot of other things such as earth sciences and natural biology and natural law. All of those great things that need to be present in our communities. The best of Waldorf will be here. The best of Montessori will be here. So really, you know, taking what works and leaving out what doesn't, but having the kids finish the school in about 2 years, which is quite awesome. So they have a variety of planting areas where they can experiment, all on contour, of course. Little 3D vertical gardens where they can experiment with things, with creepers and playgrounds, all in 3D with tension cables. Gosh, a lot more, but yeah, so this will be the fun space where kids will leave their PlayStations and iPhones and actually play here. This is the space. Then we have a more arts and cultural center for the children. So things like music, things like arts, theater will be practiced here. And right next to here we have a Hobbit Village, like in Lord of the Rings. So they're dug into the mound. So these are all our master craftsmen: the glass blower, the clay maker, the toy maker, the window frame, woodworker, metal worker, blacksmith, everybody. All the master craftsmen are going to be here, which are going to be quite close to the school, so they can teach the children, and children can interact and learn from them as well. And of course, by having master craftsmen, these are the same folk that will be making the chandeliers for the homes that we'll be building, making the wooden frames for the homes that we'll be building, making the metal work for the homes that we'll be building. So master craftsmen are a crucial part of the community because they're hands-on, they know how to create matter out of nothing. So we have all the wetlands for the schools, so they can learn how water can be treated. We have reservoirs, and of course this is all on contour, so the land slopes here, and we've got, you know, the reservoir. This is more the Keyline Dam. We've got some aquaculture, growing spaces with water. Yeah. Then we have conference space on a beautiful mound that is overlooking a food forest garden. So conference space can seat about 1,000 people. So we're really gearing up for full power ecotourism. It's doubling up as a restaurant, cafe, multi-purpose space with little dams. Very beautiful space, little pathways up here. Yeah, and we've got a food forest garden designed in a geometrical shape because the ancient, our ancestors believed that geometry can create a vortex of energy from cosmos pulling in here. So whether that's true or not, I believe it is, but you know, why not plant a food forest garden with a geometrical shape, and in the center will be the most special thing I've been designing for 10 years. It's a 3-dimensional calendar, which I'll be sharing a whole separate class on, but calendar that will get us off the Gregorian calendar and be aligned obviously to the stars, the moon and the sun. Anyway, we have some beautiful pathways and areas to hide away to, and of course we've got the fields of flowers. There were red poppies until I learned that they'll jail me in Russia for these. Yeah, and then we have a resi zone. So one of these plots is an acre. Some are a little bit bigger, but generally an acre, minimum an acre. So these are the folk that will be living permanently in the community. They'll be staying here for at least 80% of the time. So the community is always full with people, life, vibrancy, and their children will be going to our schools, and these folk are going to be the master craftsmen, the permaculturists, the conscious entrepreneurs, and everybody that actually is getting this whole thing running and flourishing. Again, all the roads are on Conta. We have a communal area and just a vision. It doesn't have to be like that. It doesn't have to be in a flower shape, but you know, you have communal gardens where people can, of course everybody has already a garden enough to grow all of their own, but these are more like communal spaces where you can co-create together and garden and, you know, plant fruit trees and so on. We have a little nursery, kindergarten for children, a little space here. Here we have a very important feature called an Earthship Hotel. So this is quite a steep slope, as you can see from some of the videos that I'll post here. But basically, you got, you know, this is one of the first features that will be going up after the training center. Yeah, it's accommodation. So we're actually building accommodation. So these are vaults right next to each other, which I'll be training, of course, in our Living Eco Home Masterclass. But the vaults, unlike domes, can be the same shape, can be reused over and over and over, and then you have basically super fast accommodation going up with greenhouses, so we can instantly grow our own seedlings and of course food year round. And Earthship, as it is, has got a contained sewage and grey water system, making it a fully self-sustainable home. So of course more communal areas. Sorry, I forgot to mention communal areas for the resi zone, with this trellis, just a roof for shade, where some of our fun occasions can be happening, bonfires, and just enjoying life. You know, of course the food forests are everywhere. So these are fruit trees, more beds. So this is a food forest community. So food forests are all around. Then we have our recreational area, which is more of a festival ground. So bike paths here and lots of little trails that ecotourism folk can come in and enjoy. We've got an amphitheater already, sloped land in that slope, so we're just going to terrace it a bit and create some seating for blankets and so on. We've got a stage. We have another one for the children, and of course the camping ground will be in our nut grove. And this is where permaculture functions really start stacking up. So the nuts are easily collected from the lawn, and lawn is awesome to put tents on, and tents need shade. So here is how a nut orchard will actually double up as a camping ground. So festival grounds are very, very important because they're going to bring people, they're going to bring life, they're going to bring new talent into the community. And of course the kids in our community will really enjoy interacting with other children. So super important. We have a theater here with very well designed vaulted ceiling that can refract and reverberate the sound in a way that, you know, a theater needs. So sound dampening on the walls and all of that. So basically a properly designed theater. We have a labyrinth here. Yeah, just as a fun feature and to calm the mind. And here we have like a nice little cooperative. One of the 60 cooperatives is a cooperative called The Lake. So somebody will build a cafe, somebody will take care of, or a few families will build the domes and look after them, or houses for rental. Somebody will be doing catamarans, they'll be going across the dam. Yeah, and then of course we have tons of apples, 14,000 apples trees already been bought for this land. So lots of apples, and here we're making apple pie and apple crumble and apple juice, and you know, and of course we're going to have biodiversity, you know, but as one of the things that does grow well in the area is apple trees. So we're going to be using the apples to make multiple products, dehydrate apples and so on. More resi zone, of course, going out, so folk can live here, and this is more of a nursery. It's quite shaded here by the river. So in this forest, of course, the mushroom production in the shade, and we've got lots of nurseries happening on this side. We have identified a little spring here, so we'll just dam it up a little bit, creating a pond and some diversion ponds, and then of course let it run back to the river through these ponds. So beautiful area to reside, a nice feature, all the beautiful features like mounds. So all of these features that you see on the land are been placed on mounds or in the fields, so all of these is a mound, even the school's on a mound. So so I didn't just place the objects, it was more of like 2 weeks walking around, even 3 weeks. I did a fast here, Paul with me, and we were really identifying the areas for all these objects to go through. And we've got a really important feature, the market. So the market is a space where we can sell our produce, where we can sell our basalt rebar that we'll be making and all the building materials. And we have identified that the folk in nearby town also have a market, but they do it on the street. So we're going to invite them here to sell their produce here and make this really the public center, the entrance into the area, the administrative block, and of course all the produce, as I said, will be selling. Recreational area we spoke about. Oh, there's a very important feature here. We have identified a spring, another spring that comes out just actually right here, and the water from the spring is very, very clean. So we're going to be building a little super adobe dress space where people can take their clothes off and do a few buckets of cold water like Russians like to do, and make a little cob oven and the little beautiful benches. And this is going to be our gift here, which is not even on our land. So we're going to create a gift first and really do it with the children of the school that's in a nearby town. It's right next to us. We're like a kilometer away. So we're going to involve the children, we're going to build it together with them, and we're going to invite all the folk from the nearby town to share our vision, to share this beautiful gift that we have created for them, and really interact with the community on this level of actually building a gift that's not for us but for them. And because no matter how good your intentions can be, you can see from Osho, I mean, he came with the best of intentions, and he was just booted out, and there were guns involved because the community that's there, we just didn't want them there. They brought a lot of new age theories and very different thinking. So so no matter how good your intentions are, unless you are coming with a really good starting point, you can forget it. So our starting point is a gift, and to involve the local children in the construction, of course, explain our vision and start involving people, tell them that there will be job opportunities for them to dehydrate our apples and sun-dried tomatoes and whatever else we've got going here. So this is just a vision for community, and that can be applied anywhere. And of course, the most important feature, according to me, is this little guy which will be tucked into the corner, but I really think it should be the first thing that goes up. It's the natural law temple, like a temple of time, which can teach people in natural law and the universal laws, how Mother Earth works, how it operates, and how we can resolve conflict and how we can interact with each other, ways of interaction and conflict resolution, and just starting to live according to the natural law, which I'll cover in great detail in the next class in the natural law pillar. But this is an important feature of creating a temple, a spiritual temple, yes, where it can unify us into something that's solid and truthful, and never mind truthful, it's the truth. So because people are going to come with different beliefs, different backgrounds, different religions, and that in itself can really rip the community apart. So if we can be presenting solid concepts such as sun and moon and earth, air, fire, water, and start building up our viewpoints on religion and everything coming off from natural law and on how our planet operates, and sacred geometry and all those things that are part of it. So I think it's going to be really important for the community to start from these solid backgrounds that come from our universe, and of course it all gets taught at the temple. Yeah, so that's basically it. I mean, it's just a concept, it's just a vision of what can be achieved on a large piece of land. I'll be sharing with you a bit more footage from the drone so you can see this land in action. It's really got nothing in it except the permaculture field has been just terraced, and we're busy planting some apple trees as we speak. But yeah, and then I'm flying down there super soon to run our first workshop to build a little super adobe and aircrete or hempcrete dome and one of these lands here. Actually, I will be starting with the Master Craftsman Village. So I'll be building one of these units, because then I'll be building the next one, and then once I move out, then the Master Craftsman can move in. So this will be my input into the cooperative with developing this Master Craftsman Village with students that come from all over the world, and we'll be building this up. So it'll be quite fun, and they'll have green roofs and so on. So we're not starting with me and my home and my plot of land. These plots of land will be given to people, I believe, only after a year or 2 years, once we've really got the Earthship Hotel going, we've got a few businesses going, we've got the Permaculture Training Center, and we've got the Ecotech Training Center, and this businesses are starting to pump out cash. And only then, when they're ticking on and they're really working, then we start developing me and my 1 hectare and my piece of land. Because one of the problems in the communities that are facing is they start with developing their 1 hectare and they run out of money for any businesses or any communal projects, and then the lands fold, the communities fold. Alright folks, so I just wanted to give you a little reality check on the drawing that I've just presented to you based on the land. So there is the farming angle that we've spoke of. It's already plowed and ready, and we've got a hobby village coming up, snaking up there. We've got 2 of our schools that are going to be on that mound. Then another beautiful food forest, a spiral here. Here we've identified that the animals actually really enjoy being in the shade. They already come on conglomerates here, so we would keep our animals in this area based on what they already enjoy and where they live. We are surrounded by oak forest, so that's uncuttable, cannot be chopped down. So we are between the 2 reserves. The one reserve goes all the way to Caucasian mountain range, and we are here by the oak trees on both sides. We actually protect it, and that's kind of what you want. You want the land that you're not going to have a mine next to you starting, and that's why you want to work in cohesion with the local government. Here we're coming up to the area of the play space for the children. And then you can see the rest of the land coming up. So a training center there on the left, and Earthship Hotel going to be there. The hobby park is just that mound in the front, as I showed you. Yeah, now we're moving towards the resi zone there in the far back corner with communal areas on this mound, and then there is another mound here. All the roads are going to be redone on contour, because as you can see, the old road was just already eroded, so you have to do them on contour lines. Yeah, there is our conference space coming up right there with a food forest garden below it. So the resi zone is quite tucked in from the fierce winds. We've also identified that the fog comes down, very cold air comes down here in winter, down this valley and another valley here. So these are the kind of things you've got to look for. Yeah, so this is all Razor Zone with communal areas. And here is our conference space. It's going to be on this mound here with little dams, stunning view from there, and going down as a steep slope, and then our food forest flower, as I showed you, with the Temple of Time, with the calendar is going to be in this field here. Our temple, just a spiritual space, gathering space, is going to be in a far back corner there. We have already purchased another 250 acres on this adjacent field, and that's going to be our property development for folk that want to live here, you know, come in for 3 months of the year, 5 months of the year, because the people that are staying in the community are going to be involved actively in the community. But in property development, people can come and go as they wish. People from all over the world who want to be living next to our ecosystem will be residing in a separate field here, unless they want to take active participation and learn the language, then, you know, but they'll still be part of the community. It's just, you know, they don't have to stay here all the time, but people in the community have to stay there for 8 months or 9 months of the year. Here's that spring that I showed you that goes down into the nursery and the fungi, mushroom growing areas, more resi zones, another spring coming down here was a wetland. Beautiful forests all around, so the river is just winding through right next to our land. And as you can see, there's the Caucasian mountain range and gets higher and higher. These are the festival grounds. Here they are. There's a natural amphitheater here. This is going to be our festivals, little play spaces for children to hike in the woods, labyrinth and theater here. Yeah, so beautiful areas. Got loads of little secluded spaces for like sacred work here, and little pockets of nature that's just next to the river. It's really, really awesome. Yeah, little walkways and hikes all going to be through here. We're going to plant fruit trees. And that's where the gift is. That's the gift that we're giving to the people of the land, of the city that's right next to us. So that's it, folk. If you want to leave comments or ask questions, please do so below, because in the next session, I'm going to go deep into the 9 pillars of successful community design and what it takes to really build resilient communities for going into the future and beyond. Communities that excite our children and communities that excite us and our planet and our creator. And please share this webinar with all your friends and family. You know, as I share, please just post it around so we can get some more people on it, because it's really, really important that people start thinking community and start really manifesting it. So that's why we're getting our community to teach other communities how to operate, how to do the governance, how to do all the different aspects, including funding and startup and so on and so forth. Oh, by the way, there is a little town. It's just right next to us. So don't go far into the sticks. So I hope you have enjoyed the presentation of this 250-acre permaculture master plan. If you have any comments or questions or concerns, please scroll below and pop them in the comment section, and I will get through all the burning questions that have already been asked and that will still be asked in this webinar. Just a little bit on. I'm actually taking a flight to Russia because I do not know all the answers, so I can meet some of the community leaders as well as our team to present to you intelligent answers to your questions from people who have lived communities, who have failed in communities, and who have communities that are currently thriving. I have to get the answers from the people that truly know through experience, which builds wisdom. And I look forward to be seeing you in the next class, where I will present to you 9 pillars of successful community design. Until then, have a fantastic day, and please share this community seminar with everyone you know, because we need people to wake up and go for it. Just go for it, because we do not have much time left. The system of science and progress is got us locked in, completely locked in, because the only weapon to fight the system we have is the training that they have provided for us in the schools and institutions. So we're truly locked in, but you'll learn more about it. So let's spread this webinar and let's share the wisdom of natural law and intentional community kin domains. I look forward to be seeing you soon.